This video is supported by Rocket Railways for all your model railway needs. Please check the link in the description below. I've been working on the backyards for these two buildings for the Carrickwills village. As you can see here, I've sort of made some developments with regards to that. Essentially, this whole section comes away at the minute, just allows me to work on these parts without actually creating any sort of splashback as such onto the buildings. But what we're at stage wise now is sort of trying to create a little bit of a scene for each of these two buildings. The one on the right is going to be a public house, and as such we'll have beer kegs, that kind of thing, in the backyard. There's no wall down at this side because the intention is that the next building will sit here and will extend down the full length of this building here. The one on the left is a domestic garden, and what I'm trying to convey is somebody who takes pride in that back garden. So the lawn is in, there's a little path running right round the boundary of the house. Along this line here I will have some fence posts. I'm actually going to use the ratio GWR fence posts with some wire in through them. Just thought it would make a nice variation to a brick wall. But the reason for this video is that in here I want to create a lean-to greenhouse. Now you can buy greenhouse kits through the likes of Ratio and Wills, and there's some brass ones out there as well. But sure, where's the fun in that whenever you can scratch build one yourself? So that's what this video is essentially about. We're going to create a lean-to greenhouse. So let's get the drawings over and we'll make a start. So this is my drawing for the greenhouse. It's perhaps a little bit small in terms of height against a scale figure. However, I am restricted with the height of the wall that this greenhouse is leaning up against, so there are some difficulties with regards to that. So in essence, we have a greenhouse that's going to measure 35 millimeters in length, 15 millimeters in width, and a maximum height of 27 millimeters at the back and 22 at the front. The dotted lines denote where the bars of the greenhouse will be, and then the solid section along the bottom is a brick or a stone wall. In my case, I'm going to do a brick wall. If you wanted to build a full-scale version of this in that it's not a lean-to, it's just sitting proud in the garden, well, essentially you just need to double your dimensions on the two gable ends and perhaps change the door here and move it across more centralized rather than being offset to one side. The upper section here is just for the roof, and again dimensions are the same lengthwise, but widthwise it's 17 millimeters, just to account for that slight angle on the pitch of the roof, to allow a little bit of an overhang, but also just the measurement isn't just quite the 15, it is a wee bit longer than that. So what do we do next? Now with that drawing, I've basically repeated it again onto another piece of graph paper. I like to keep the original drawings just for future reference. So on this sheet here, we're going to work on the main front part of the building, and I'm using plain clear perspex. These are just offcuts from packaging, that kind of thing there, and it works perfectly for windows and that, and it'll work well for this here project too. Hold that in place with just some strips of masking tape to stop it moving about, and then we're going to use 0.8 millimeter square rod from Plastruct as our main framework for the greenhouse. If I take the ruler then, and we're going to start along the bottom bar, and I'm laying that ruler right along that black line just underneath it, and I can place my Plastruct into place, ensuring that I just keep a little bit of an overlap on this end here, and it'll just allow me to trim it down nice and flush whenever we get to do this horizontal or vertical, this upright bar here. And just with a little bit of Plasti-Weld, that will hold this all in place. Now Plasti-Weld will tend to leave a little bit of a mark on the clear plastic, which is a downside to a degree, but in the case of a greenhouse, they tend to be a wee bit grubby anyway. Certainly the windows do, so it won't really, hopefully, affect the look of it too much. You could obviously use the likes of Rocket Card or the glue and glaze from Rocket. I just want to do this a little bit quicker, and at least the plasti weld will go off nice and quickly to demonstrate this project to you. So once the bottom bar is on, we can then continue with the upright bars, and we're going to work from this end all the way down to the bottom, using the ruler each time to help ensure a complete right angle to that bottom strut. Now I'm working at about 3 or 4 of these at any one time. It just gives time for the glue to go off completely before I do make the trims. And again on this end here, I'm going to just leave it slightly overhung at the minute. And then on the upper ones, I'll use my ruler, set it along the line, and trim all 3 at once. And it's just to try and ensure that we get a nice even level cut right the way across the entire structure. And now I can repeat that process for the remaining 5 bars. Okay, that's all the upright ones done. Now I'm not going to put one across the top at this stage. What will happen is that the bar that is created right round the roof of the building will act as the upper bar on this side too. It's just to make it not look as thick and chunky. I don't want that thick chunky look, particularly in around it where 2 sides meet. What we do need to do though is include our brick course of plastic card along the bottom. Now it may be useful prior to gluing this in is to paint this, and I have odd scraps of plastic card sitting that have already been pre-painted, so this is all ready to go on. And for this here I'm going to use the Revel contact adhesive. And we'll just glue that whole strip on, and then we can trim it down to size once all the glue has gone off. So I will set that to one side now, and we'll forget about it, give it 20 minutes to go off, and then we can come back to it and do the next stage. Now this one here is almost dry, and I have already prepared the other 3 components for the greenhouse. Done in exactly the same way as I've followed through with this one here. The only difference being the roof obviously has a frame right the way around it, and on the door end, the door is obviously different, so the bars are marked out differently, and the center bar is a 2mm wide by 2mm by 0.8mm strip of plastruct instead, just to denote that the bar of the door is there. Now this one here is more or less dry and ready to cut, and I've already trimmed off the excess of the brickwork, so let's get the rest of it cut and trimmed down to size. Now again, what I will do here is use the ruler and to ensure that we get a nice crisp line the whole way down the length of it. As long as your blade is sharp, you shouldn't have any issues cutting through this and creating any damage. Now, having checked the sides and everything are okay and all marry up quite nicely, it's time to glue the piece together, and for that we're going to use super glue. I found that the plastic weld is just far too fiddly to work with. The super glue is so fast acting, and we'll start with one end, and I'm just going to run a small bead of super glue if I cut them out, down this side. And then we can marry it up with the front. There we are, that's quite nice. And then if we do the roof next, so what we're going to do is two sides. So I need to glue this and this end. So again, we'll run a bit of glue just along the outer edge of this. And we'll lay it flat down on the table. And try and line this up. Let's do it this way around here. And then we'll do our final. So we'll run a bit of glue along there. And we'll run it down the edge of this. And I think we've just about got ourselves a greenhouse. Now, one thing you will probably notice is that there appears to be a bit of a gap between front and side, and that's essentially the plastic, the clear plastic, just that's that wee line there. But with a wee drop of your white paint, or if you were painting the entire structure in a different colour, it would soon disguise all of that. But that is essentially how you can go about making your very own greenhouse. I think we should have a look and see what this looks like in situ. I tell you what, that doesn't look too bad, does it? Yeah, no, I'm really pleased with that. Hopefully you've got something out of this. I'm going to go away and fill this with a whole load of tomato plants and whatever else I can get my hands on. If you've enjoyed the build, please comment, please like, subscribe down below. If you fancy giving a go at building one of these yourself, pop over onto my Facebook page and share your photographs. I'm certainly more than interested in looking at those. And until the next time, I will chat to you soon. Bye bye for now. See ya.